as Max just alluded, we when we were preparing for today, and we were looking back at our recent experience over the last 3 or 4 years about increasingly when people come to us and talk about some of their key challenges in the finance function, and we're trying to, so we were exploring and discussing what they mean, how they've come about, and it's amazing what the commonality is, albeit that as organisations, Escone and iplicit, we work across a number of different sectors. And but it's interesting when you start to peel the onion. Actually, there's a huge amount of commonality about what these pain and challenges are. Um, so, Max, I mean, you've obviously been chatting to an awful lot of organisations, been helping them with their digital transformation and exploring how that works. What are some of the sort of key challenges that you've picked out and you've seen commonly?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the main ones really refer, I think, to the inefficient use of systems. An amazing the number of customers that I've come across over the years that manually key their data back into spreadsheets to do their monthly reporting. So very labor intensive, but also open to human error. And if the chart of accounts changes, then obviously that kind of changes their templates within Excel as well. It's much easier if you can get the data straight out of the system. And the same applies in some ways with the kind of the manually keying of data into the system. So if you can integrate with your operational systems, then that means that again it rules out any human effort and human error as well. So there's those are the two of the main ones that I've come across over the last few years, certainly, Paul.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about like effectively integration there, Max, because I think that's one of the topics we're going to talk a bit more about later on. But
Yeah.
but certainly I would concur that one of the overriding key reasons why people look to change their finance system or update it, we can call it whatever we like this morning, is because that integration is probably one of the key areas where they can drive efficiency. So if and also eradicate errors, Max. So it's that whole ability to use, and that technology's changed a lot, hasn't it, in terms of facilitating this?
Completely, and also that with that brings the idea of timely reporting. Because I mean, we all know that there's no real value in out of date data. If it takes you 3 or 4 weeks to do your month end reporting, it's out of date by the time it's released. You want to cut your monthly reporting time scales so that it gives the business time to make any corrections, based on that data. So again, and again that comes back to avoid having to rekey your data out into Excel.
That's really interesting. We've just been doing some research with over 1,000 finance professionals, and that data actually, I was shocked. So, it still points to the fact that many organisations month ends, are into week 3 and almost into week 4 of a
Yeah.
month. Whereas those that have adopted more modern systems are seeing, these processes being done within week 1 or just tipping over into week 2, depending on what, the sophistication of the organization. So I think that efficiency and productivity, is such a key area. Another area that I've been seeing, and I'm sure you have too, Max, is about control.
Mm.
So one of the challenges is that we have with iplicit, there's over 30,000 daily users of our system. That's a lot of people adding information, putting on things like purchase orders, expense claims, adding month-end journals, and that's every time one of those transactions or a new record like a supplier is added. Having the right level of control, it seems to be a real big theme from organizations now. How do we make sure there's the right approval process that's embedded in the heart of the software, that doesn't require, you know, spreadsheets being sent around or post-it notes on people's desks? And so that whole ability to have that sort of a designable sort of configurable workflow for adding transactions and records to a system seems to be absolutely crucial for organizations.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, and I think finance teams are busy. They're a busy team, and if they can sort of offload some of the input to the non-finance personnel within the business, but still have control over what gets posted into their finance system, then I think that just adds to the efficiency of the finance function as well.
Yeah. The last one I was going to call before we go into some other areas, Max, is I don't know if you've noticed this trend, but we're seeing more and more complex type group structures for organizations than perhaps what we've seen in more previous years. I mean, to use an example, if you're a charity or a non-profit, you're likely to have both a trust and a trading. So there's immediately two legal entities, but that's also very common in commercial settings too, that there's a structure, perhaps a shared VAT group across those scenarios. Now, historically, with the software that we've spent a lot of years with over, in different settings, all of those softwares of that generation tended to deal mainly with those as separate installations for each company or legal entity, didn't they, Max?
Yeah, and I think when they tried to, there's a lot of systems I'm aware of that they don't do true consolidation. It's more aggregation reporting rather than consolidation, and I think that leads to additional work to eliminate intercompany postings, etc. So I think a smooth way of getting the data straight out of the system for the whole group as well as for the individual entities is vital.